Good morning. Welcome back to Alright, What's Next? Today, I'm going to show you how to run with scissors. First thing you got to do, get into a running stance and have these things pointing upwards towards your eyes. Alright, does it actually look like I run? We're not going to run with scissors. We're going to try and fix my scissors, or kitchen shears, or whatever the hell you want to call them. A while back I was trying to prep chicken wings, cooking the air fryer, which I need to do a video on, show you how to friggin' use an air fryer to make chicken wings. They're fucking awesome. But if you ever bought wings from the store, they come with the drumette, the wing, and a little wingtip still attached. So you can cook them that way if you want, but I like to cut them up so it's like, if you're ordering them at the bar. So the first thing you gotta do is go through, find that joint between the knuckle, and cut them. Throw away the little wingtip, or use it for catfish bait. But I was doing a ton of friggin' wings and was getting impatient and wasn't actually lining up my cuts and was just slicing through the bone, and I was squeezing and squeezed down, and when I did, I snapped the frickin' handle off. Now I got some 2-part epoxy resin, glued it back together. It worked for a while. It broke again. I got some JB Weld, glued it back together. It worked for a while. Broke again. What these are is injection molded handles. So when they forge the blade, then it goes into a mold and they inject freaking plastic into it. There is a little hole in here. The plastic goes in there. It's got this little freaking whoop-de-doo thing right there, molds it all in so it stays in place. Once it busts that little tab that freaking forms the two halves together, it's broke off. You lost all your rigidity. So we have to make new handles. This one's still on there. I'm not going to break it off just yet. What we're going to do is I got a chunk of black, I think it's black walnut. Might be oak. I think this is black walnut. In all likelihood, I could be very wrong. I am wrong on a regular basis. But what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and trace out the pattern, and then I have to snap this end off of this. So let's start with making sure we've got a rough outline of what our handle is going to be. Now, you got the bottom flat edge, you got the groove in right here, so you just utilize this bottom flat edge onto a flat edge of the board. And try and stay on the outside, kind of angle your pencil away from it so that when you cut this out, your handle blank is bigger than what you need. We got the two halves separated, and we've got this little wonky freaking shape right here that gets embedded into the handle with a hole right there. We're probably going to do double holes for 2 different pins. We don't give a shit about this little friggin' whoop-de-doo right there. All we care about, we're going to line this up on here, and we're going to trace this out. What we want to be able to do is cut a groove into this that this will recess into. So to cut this groove, we've got to hollow out an area here, hollow out here, right down the center of this board. Now I have this little tiny drill bit that is the same width, and might actually be just slightly narrower than the actual blade of the shears. What we're going to do is we're going to lock this into my vise. Not that vise that we just used. I got a drill press vise over there. We're going to lock it into the drill press vise, and then we'll set the depth gauge to come down to the individual lines, and we're just going to go, and we're going to drill out a good portion of the freaking material. We'll just hog that out. Once we get that hogged out, I get my Dremel out, and I got these different diamond cutting little grinding bits, and we'll remove the rest of the material, and hopefully we'll get it down to where these things will slide into the handles. Once we get that all squared away and we make sure that they're going to fit in there, then we'll cut them out and start shaping them. I'm not going to piss around cutting them out until I can get that groove refined, because if I can't get it right, then I can't make this work, and why waste my time cutting them out first? Plus, I need a nice square surface to work off of. Perfect. So, this blade, I got her pretty well set in there, nice and freaking level with the top of the board. And then the bottom one is set down, it's recessed in a little bit further, which was, of course, by design, because I have to shave this off right here, which will bring it down to the level of that blade. And the reason why I got to do that is we've got this little friggin' knobby right here that keeps the two handles separated. So, grooves turned out pretty well. I got a little wonky right here, but that's alright. We're going to fill this up with resin, glue it in, and then we're going to drill it and pin it, make these things strong. So, now what I got to do, I'm going to go over to the bandsaw and give these things a rough freaking cutout. Okay, so we got our basic shape. Now, we have to do a lot of work to them. But right there's my basic freaking scissor handles. Not too bad. I got to thin them out considerably, because they're like twice as thick as what your standard handles are. And then we've got to shape them. To shape them, I got me a set of freaking rasps by Nerex. No. I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to freaking hook up my shop vac, and I'm going to use my belt sander, and I'm going to figure out exactly just how damn wide I want to make these things and grind this thing down quite a bit on the belt sander, and then I'll start shaping them with the rasp. So, probably don't need to watch me stand here going and making all kinds of goddamn sawdust. So I'm going to shut the camera off for right now, and we'll come back when I'm ready to rasp these things. Alright, so I got them drilled, they're all rough shaped, they're fitted, they go nicely on the handle. The copper rods, they fit, they're a nice friggin' snug fit. So now what we got to do is spend the next hour freaking hand sanding. So I'm going to start with 80 grit. I'm going to work up through the grits up to 220. Once I get that, then we're going to go ahead and assemble. We'll epoxy these onto the handles. We'll put the copper rods in there with some epoxy. We'll pin them into place. Then after the epoxy freaking sets up, then we can go back through and sand off any squeeze out or anything we had, dress that, and then we can freaking seal these things. So I'm gonna shut the camera back off and I'm gonna sand for a couple hours. So when we're ready for the next step, I'll freaking hit record again because I want to listen to the radio when I'm doing this shit and that damn copyright crap. All right, so I am done sanding. I only went to 150 because I'm going to put urethane on here, and you don't need to go any further than 150 if you're going to coat it in urethane. You only need that if you're going to use oils or whatever. But I'm going to put a nice clear coat on here, protect these things. So now, next step, we've got to try and get the blades put in and get them pinned in with the copper. We're going to use a 5-minute 2-part clear epoxy, and we're going to try and keep as much of that epoxy down inside as possible. We don't want it coming out onto the wood. Then we're going to put the pins in. We will grind them off slightly more than flush, and then we're going to peen them. If you don't know what peening is, I'll show you in a minute. Alright, so let's put a little bit of freaking epoxy on here. Alright, that's pretty good. Now I've got this ancient freaking foam cutting knife here. It doesn't work anymore, but it's got a really thin end on there. That's going to allow me to get down inside of there. Hopefully I can scoop up some of this epoxy and get it all the way down in there without getting it all over the outside of the handle. Safety glasses. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Where the fuck did my safety glasses go? Alright. So we got it relatively freaking flush, not completely. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take this large punch right here. We're going to put it right square on there, and we're going to give some good downward force. And what that's going to do, copper's super soft, so you're smashing it down onto this hard plate, and it's expanding it out into that freaking, into that hole. That way it will not come out of there without being drilled. Look at that, but it fairly well flattens her out. Let's get this one. It's a little bit more of a fucking whack, right? You know what? Nope. It's good. I guarantee that's not going to freaking come apart. But anyhow, then. Still got a little bit more work to do. There we go. We got to ground these off flush. I got to sand off the epoxy, make that freaking look good, and then you're gonna put urethane on it. But now I got to let that epoxy sit overnight. So, alright, so the scissors are done. I went ahead and finished them off the camera because I didn't feel like recording. I had already shut the camera off. I didn't feel like putting the microphone back on or anything like that while I was out here. So all I did was I took a Dremel with a little drum sanding drum, and just leveled off the copper rods that were just rough cut off. And copper is really soft, so it ground down nice and quick and easy. And then I just took 150 grit sandpaper and sanded them until they were relatively flush with the surface of the wood. Fortunately, you're not going to get it perfectly flush because the wood is going to sand off faster than the copper does. So you do have a slight rise to it, but it's barely noticeable. Then it was 3 coats of Minwax oil-based high gloss polyurethane, and I was gonna call it done, but it had a rough texture to it. I don't know. I think I forgot to sand on one of them, and I had too many air bubbles or some shit in there. It had a rough texture, so I went ahead and I sanded it down one more time, and was like, okay, I'll be real careful applying my 4th coat. And I opened up my little can of urethane, and it was just sludge. The lid didn't seal properly because the can is fucked. The lid was glued down so bad when I pried it up, I bent the holy hell out of the can trying to get the lid up. Then it wouldn't seal again, so that was bad. I had a thing of semi-gloss. Like, fuck it, I'll use semi-gloss. Opened it up, and it wasn't sealed either. It was freaking hard as a rock. It's like, son of a bitch, I really wanted to get this video done. So I dug around. I had polyurethane spray high gloss. So I tried that, and it worked relatively nice, but I'm not super happy with the finish because the semi-gloss or the high gloss spray goes on kind of splotchy. I imagine I could sand this down, spray it on again, maybe it'd take care of the splotchiness, but I'm not gonna. They're done. I'm extremely happy with them. It was a tremendous amount of work to make these handles, but it was fun work. I just enjoyed the shit out of just standing here with them new rasps that I got and shaping these things and seeing them turn into something so functional that looks identical to the original handles, except these are made out of black walnut with copper in them. I think they're gorgeous. Now I probably won't want to use them in my kitchen. I certainly won't try and cut through the bones on chicken wings with these. Got to get between the knuckles. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I hope this gives you some ideas, some inspiration to go and redo your own kitchen utensils. I've got another project I'm going to restore coming up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.